Hi everyone and welcome to Office Corner. You can connect with me on Twitter at Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley Facebook. A link to Neil Haley Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, Google Plus, and also on Periscope, Total Tutor. I'm excited to welcome the program author and language expert, Amrik Kang. Amrik, thanks for calling. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. Tell me how you first of all became a language expert. When did you start to understand you had that gift? Tell me about that.
Well, I was in my 8th grade back in the old country, 1964. At that time, I was very interested in language, and that was my number one subject, even though I was good in other subjects too. At that time, I wrote a short story, and my teachers liked it very much. The name of the story was Pure Milk, translated in English. The Punjabi name was different, and at that time they knew that I had something uh, in me. So then they started to train me about going to the declamation contest and those sorts of things. This is how it all started. Then they started to encourage me.
Now, that with languages, how you kind of go learn one language, go to the next, What did you use as like a strategy for yourself?
Yeah, that was my mother tongue, the Punjabi language. In India, every state has a different language. I come from the state of Punjab originally, and the language there was Punjabi, so that was the first language. Then in grade 5, everybody has to learn Hindi language, which is the national language of India. At my father's time, Urdu used to be the language of the state. Normally, the language of the state is the language of the people who are the rulers. So the rulers spoke Urdu, so I happened to learn the Urdu language from my father. So this is how I acquired 3 languages. And in grade 6, everybody has to learn English to one degree or another. Because I was a science student in grade 8, I elected English as my medium of instruction all the way up to my bachelor's degree. So I had to become good in that language too.
I mean, it's something when you talk about these things and how you figure out learning and figure out what's so cool about being this expert. How many languages do you speak now, Amrik?
No, the fluently, as far as fluently is concerned, I speak 4 languages, which is Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, and English, even though I used to speak German too. My higher education in mechanical engineering was in German language, but I have become rusty in that language because I don't use it anymore.
Then how did you kind of become an author? Tell us that story.
Yeah, so in grade 8, when I wrote my short story, my teachers recognized that I may have a writer in me. So they started to encourage me. So they started to encourage me to keep writing and keep coming on the stage and keep going to the declamation contests. And I won several of them and continue to write. Then slowly I started to go towards writing some poetry. And I continued to write until 1980. I had a whole book of short stories. That's when my first book of short stories came out. And the name of that book was Pure Milk. And that was the name of my first short story, which I wrote 16 years prior in my high school.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you saw that you enjoyed it. It's something that you enjoyed, it sounds like.
Exactly. And actually, that book landed me in jail. At that time, I used to be an editor of a news magazine. I was the only full-time news editor of one of the 5 editors, but I was the full-time. And the regime didn't like that, and they wanted to silence me, and this is how I was arrested and put behind bars. I was in jail for about a month, but during that time, another book came out, another book of short stories. My sister continued to work on that to get it published while I was still inside for about a month.
Oh wow! And how are the jails when you were in jail? That was pretty tough, wasn't it? It was not a fun time, was it?
Yeah, it was not a fun time, and they had some false charges against me. This is how they throw people, uh, the enemies of the state, behind bars. They come up with some false charges that I was instigating people, and I instigated a very, very large crowd and asked the people to throw the Indian government out of power through violent means. And those were the charges, but they were never got proven. They continued to bring me before a magistrate, before a judge, week after week for the next 4 weeks. And there were demonstrations outside the courthouse. A couple thousand people were outside every single time. They couldn't even bring any witnesses. Their witnesses never showed up. So those were all false charges just to silence me. There was nothing else. Yeah.
All right. So once you started writing, you really got busy, didn't you?
Yes, exactly. Then I started to write towards poetry. I continued to write some poems and some songs. So then they knew that I had that talent too in me. Though my teachers, my friends, they started to encourage me. I started to go to some functions here and there, start to sing a little bit or speak. So this is how it continued to develop over time.
Very, very interesting. And how long does it take you to write a book?
Yeah, that book, the first book, it took me actually a long time. I wrote my first story in 1964 when I was in my high school, and my book came out in 1980. And the other book, the second book, the title of the second book was New Man. That is also a book of short stories. That book came out a year after, but it took me several years to write that book. That book had the characters from foreign countries because during that time I was able to travel around in Europe and European countries. I was in Greece, Germany, Sweden, Denmark. So that's why that book had the characters from foreign countries in it.
Very, very interesting. And your current book, tell us a little about that book. And you said it's a series of things, right? You love the book, right?
Yeah, the other books which I wrote in English, these two books I'm talking about, those were in Punjabi. And I have two more manuscripts ready. So those two should come out this year. One will go out in the next few days, actually. I just done typing that one yesterday. And as far as the English books are concerned, when I came to this country in 1984, at that time, because I was writing poetry, I was sending it to newspapers, and people recognized it. They suggested that why don't I write in English language, because this way I can use my talents to make some money. So this is how the suggestion came from some of my friends, and I started to act on it.
Okay. So you started to act on it. Very, very interesting. Let's go to the English versions of some of your books and the storyline, and tell us about the series.
Okay, in 1990, when I moved back from California to Washington State, I was single at the time, but a month later I got married, and I started a business, opened a business named Spectrum Enterprises. Later on, I started a subsidiary called People's Publishing House. Even the Spectrum Enterprises, when I started that, I registered it as a publishing company. People's Publishing House is a publishing company anyway. Even the parent company was registered as a publishing company. And at that time, I had a few things in mind. I was just trying to just do some kind of home business. I had some experience in mail order, a little bit in direct marketing, a little bit in mail merge, those kind of things, because I was working in a real estate back in California. So I wanted to apply that knowledge because I was a newlywed, and my wife was very much interested in homeschooling the children and doing something from home.
Okay.
So this is how it all got started. So I started to pay more attention to do something about it.
And so it's and then once you put the attention into it, it was born, right?
Exactly. In 1990, when I started to, she started to work towards home business. Actually, I was working for the Boeing company manufacturing airplanes at that time, but she was working on the home business, and she was trying to get some home business opportunities here and there. She got burned a few times, and I was just trying to help her out, and I kind of fell into it. And through all that knowledge that I gathered over the next 5 years, from 1990 to 1995, that turned into a book. So my first book came out in 1995, even though we started in 1990, but it took me 5 years to come up with my first book. Income at Home is the subtitle of that book. The title is actually, it used to have a different title, but just recently I changed the title, Talk of Our Times. That's the title now.
So talk of our times. Tell us about
Talk of our time, income at home, because everybody keeps talking about income at home. Most people want to work at home. They don't want to commute. They don't want to have a boss sitting on their head. They want to do something. They want to stay with their children. So everybody's talking about it. This is how I came up with the title. Talk of our times. What is the talk of our times? Income at home, working from home. So this is how I came up with the subtitle later on. So that book, I just continue to put my experience, what I learned over those 5 years, starting from 1990, 1995. I turned that knowledge into a book form. In the beginning, it was a very small book. It was a booklet, about 40 to 50 pages. I was saddle stitching it, and some people didn't like it. Some people had the excuse to send the book back to me. They said, 3 of your stitches are not in line. All kinds of excuses. I used to come from work at night at 11 o'clock at night from the Boeing company and start to sit on my table, start to stitch my books.
So you were getting home late with the kids, and now at the age you learn how to make income at home, you can not miss a lot of that family time. Am I correct?
Exactly. My wife loved it very much, especially with 2 children, because she wanted to homeschool those 2 children, being a teacher back in the old country. Plus, she did not have a working visa or a work permit to work in this country. She said, you have business in your own name, which I started before we got married. She said, I can help you out. I can run it, even though your name is on it, but I can work from home. So I said, that's so fine with me. You can homeschool our 2 daughters, and you can do this. So this will come hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like that's the kind of the situation you have with the book. So is it teach people how they can make money at home? That's the premise of that book.
Okay, now that is my first book. That book will not tell you everything. It will tell you only the basics. That's why I have 5 books. I have 4 more books that came after that. They all teach different things. The first book teaches you the basics. How you can start a business, how you can register it, what kind of entity you can have, even though I don't give them any legal advice. If they want to have an LLC or a corporation or a sole proprietorship, they can have that choice, but I wouldn't give them that advice. They need to make that decision by consulting their attorney or some other legal professional. But it gives you all the basics, how to get started, because some people don't even have that much knowledge. They don't even know where to begin. So it gives you only the basics, how to get started. So then the other books, they orient you towards the specifics. My books are oriented towards doing business from home and through the mail order. Even though home business could mean anything to anybody, there are a lot of things you can do from home. Even some plumbers work from home, some electricians can work from home. But my books, they are oriented towards mail order. How you can make money by not having a storefront. Your storefront is your mail order business, where you can make money nationwide. Not working through the internet, even though internet could be part of it, but basically using the direct mail, because these are two different things, internet and direct mail. So those are oriented towards direct mail, which is easier than internet.
So the direct mail, you feel that it's still a great way to make money through direct mail, even though the internet's become so popular for purchasing?
Exactly, because even though people think that internet is the only thing that is going to survive and postal service or post office is going to die. But in my opinion, postal service or post office will be there for a long time to come. It's not going to go away pretty soon. Only 4 to 5% of the entire business is coming through the internet. Still, there's a lot of business that's coming through direct mail. Direct mail is still the name of the game. Plus, it's much more easier, especially for the people who are not computer savvy, who do not know how to work with various computer programs. It becomes very difficult, very daunting task for them. So direct mail is much more easier because there are some simple steps which anybody can learn in a short period of time.
And so you're trying to teach people how to do that. What type of products or services can you sell through direct mail?
Well, I personally teach selling books, or it could be any number of products, even though I'm a little biased towards books because I write books. I want people to sell my book.
Right.
But people can sell perfumes, they can sell jewelry items, they can sell safety products. What I'm saying is some small products which are not bulky or large, because that becomes much more expensive, and they should not be fragile. They should be small, easy to ship. So it could be anything along those lines. And the other thing is that it should be something which you like, which is according to your taste. Some people don't want to sell books. They tell me all the time, "Oh, I don't want to sell books. I have no taste. I would like to sell jewelry. I would like to sell perfumes. I like to sell safety products." I said that's okay. So pick something which you like. So then after that, you need to find your market, your niche market, by going to a broker, by getting a mailing list in order to match your product with a mailing list, with a market niche.
Interesting. So do you go to a middleman that the distributor to purchase those items and then use them through direct mail or distributor? How do you do that?
Yeah, you have different options. There are some companies who can uh, direct ship your products for you. You don't even need to keep an inventory. There are other companies which will tell you that you need to have some kind of inventory to start with, then you have to have that. But you do need to have a mailing list. That's the most important thing. Without a mailing list, if you are trying to uh, just sell it to anybody, it may not work, because there are mailing lists for all sorts of products. You need to go through a broker. The brokers have those mailing lists. They will tell you according to every mailing list has a data card. That data card will tell you what kind of people are on the mailing list, how much money they spent, how much and when did they spend it, how many times they spent it. It will give you all kind of information. So then you would know that that particular mailing list is suitable for your product. Then you acquire that mailing list for a one-time use or for multiple use through that broker. You pay the rent, or there are some brokers who may even sell you the list. Then you start to market to that particular list, not just to anybody.
Definitely seems like a pretty interesting proposition, like now the marketing part of this. You said direct mail. How do you market? Especially you say you're selling books.
Okay, it's the same concept is the same. Either they are books or some other small item which you are trying to market. The concept doesn't change. Number one, you need to have a product before you start advertising. Otherwise, it becomes illegal. So you must have some kind of product either at your disposal in your inventory, or you have contract with somebody who is going to direct ship for you. So then you're fine. So then you start to advertise. Advertise, you can either do through small newspaper ad or direct mail. When I say direct mail, get a mailing list, come up with a sales letter, some kind of sales letter that why this product is good for them. Then you design that sales letter and start to mail merge the sales letter, personalize it, mail merge it with that letter, and start to mail it out. Then there are so many different steps where you can reduce your mailing cost. So that's another subject in itself to keep your expenses down.
All right, where's the place we can find information on you purchase your books and learn more about you? Where can we go?
Yeah, I have a website. It's called peoplespublishinghouse.com. That's my website. You can get some information. There's my phone number is there. My email address is there. People can contact me through those email and through those phone numbers, and we can go take it from there and give them some information according to their taste.
All right, well, it's awesome. It looks like you got a lot of different books to offer at peoplespublishinghouse.com, and you connect with all the different places. So best of luck, and thanks for calling. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care. All
Thank
right.
you. Bye-bye.